Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Pro-Unitate podcast. As usual, my name is David Erebo, your host. Unfortunately, once again, my co-host Chioma Animwe is unavailable. She's had to attend to something else. Let me quickly welcome our guest, as you can tell by his name, Professor Onyebuchi Chukwu. Professor Onyebuchi Chukwu is a former Minister of Health. He's a distinguished scholar, an academic, a medical professional, an administrator, and a politician. He is currently Professor of Orthopedic Surgery at the Alex Ekwueme Federal University, Undufu Alike in Ebonyi State. And he is also a member of the United Nations One Health Global Leaders Group on antimicrobial resistance. He has been a medical doctor for 39 years, a consultant orthopedic and a trauma surgeon for 30 years. He is also a professor of orthopedic surgery, which he has been for 18 years. He graduated from the prestigious Federal Government College Sokoto in 1979, where he was a Federal Government of Nigeria scholar, not only by merit, also from where he graduated with the best West African School certificate examination result of his class, aggregate 07 distinction to be precise. At Federal Government College Sokoto, Prof. Onyebuchi Chukwu was an active member of several clubs and societies, including the Press Club, the Dance Club, as well as the Nigerian Red Cross Society. Let me stop there briefly. Let me give the floor to Professor Chukwu to continue from where I stopped. You're welcome to the program, Prof.
Yeah, thanks, David. Thank you very much.
Please introduce yourself a bit more. Let the audience know more about you.
Onyebuchi Chukwu, as you've heard, is a Nigerian. Was born in Lagos, in Yaba, Lagos, on Easter Sunday, 1962. And currently, I'm lecturing, as you've heard, but I also still practice orthopedic surgery. I'm an honorary consultant at H2 Specialty Clinics in Abuja. Though these days, one tends to restrict himself to high-end surgery, arthroscopy, arthroplasty, which means joint replacement, particularly of the hip and of the knees. Then, of course, we still manage a lot of old age problems, arthritis. Be it arthritis of any joint, arthritis of the spine is very common. And so we help a lot of folks get on with their lives, making it less painful and easy for them to move. I'm still a politician, though not exceedingly active. I'm currently, for the past 10 years, I've been in the All Progressives Congress, APC. I don't have any government appointment right now, but we are all participating actively in the political process. I went to Sokoto, as you heard. I was there from 1974 to 79, from Form 1 to Form 5, as it was then called. And then I went for my A-level at Federal Government College, Kaduna.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes, I was in Kaduna. But I left in upper Cs because what happened was during my A-level, I took JAMB. And I was the third best candidate by merit for the medical school in University of Lagos. And so everyone, even my teachers were saying, what are you still doing around? So halfway in the upper Cs, we left. So I didn't quite complete the upper Cs, but I was there for fully lower Cs, fully upper Cs. And I was in Nile House at FGC Kaduna, but in FGC Sokoto, I was in Niger House. So both houses were blue, so I was always a blue person.
Right.
Those are my backgrounds. Sports. The only sports I played at school level was hockey. I was the second hockey keeper for the school at Federal Government College Sokoto. But I also played other games. Not so bad, but I wasn't the champion. Table tennis, yes. Table tennis. Played a little bit of volleyball, but where I was definitely good was in hockey. And so I was in the school team for hockey. Quiz team. I was a member of the school team for quiz. We also represented the old Sokoto State at the federal, the FRCN national competition in Kaduna. Represented the old Sokoto State. I was also a member of the school team for the literary and debating society. So those areas I represented at the school level. And for quiz, I even went on to represent the old Sokoto State.
Good evening. Thank you.
I was generally an all-rounder.
Right.
Like you said, I was a member of the dance club. I was a member of the cultural society. I was a member of the drama society. And the first time I appeared on what was known as the NTV, Nigerian television, it wasn't called NTA then, NTV, but network service was because I was a member of the cultural society. In 1977, soon after FESTAC, we had our own mini FESTAC in the school, and it was recorded by NTV Sokoto, and it was shown all over the country. So that was the first time I was aware of seeing myself on TV in 1977, and I was on the drums, when we performed.
Do you think they still have those? They still have that video in?
I believe NTA.
We have
NTA may have it.
We have to investigate and try, and we have to bring it out, and inculcate it into this podcast. You know what I mean?
It was a network program, so I guess they still have it.
Right.
If they still have tapes of 60s and so on, I believe they will have the tapes of 1977.
Brilliant. Prof, very quickly, I know you're quite modest. Let me just give the audience a bit more information about you. Professor Onyebuchi Chukwu was the former Minister of Health for the Federal Republic of Nigeria during I believe the Goodluck Jonathan period.
Yes.
During his tenure as Minister of Health, Nigeria was certified guinea worm disease free by the World Health Organization. Polio virus transmission was interrupted in the country, and an outbreak of Ebola virus disease was rapidly and effectively controlled. It is to Professor Chukwu's credit that the Nigeria Center for Disease Control was established, and he played a key role in the enactment of the Nigerian National Health Act of 2014. I will go straight to my first question in that regard. Prof, during your tenure as Nigeria's Minister of Health and the country achieving major milestones such as Ebola containment and polio interruption, what leadership strategies were most critical in navigating those public health challenges?
Well, Nigeria hasn't paid so much attention to health, but during my time, I think the greatest issue was coordinating with the sub-nationals, the state governments. First, the problem we have in the 1999 Constitution, which we operate, even with we've done 5 alterations. We are hoping to do the 6th set of alterations. So, even with all the alterations, many Nigerians don't know there's nowhere health is mentioned in Nigeria's constitution. You look at the exclusive list, health is not there. You look at the concurrent list, health is not mentioned in the concurrent list. The only place something about health was mentioned was in the residual list, and it was mentioned in relation to occupational health. So is it not surprising that we're all paying lip service to health? We say health is, a priority. Until, even as we're speaking now, in the Constitution Nigeria is operating, the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, health is neither in the exclusive list nor in the concurrent list. And I've said this several times, even when I was a minister, and I'm still surprised that our National Assembly is doing nothing to remedy this. So what we are doing is just assumed that health is on the concurrent list. It's a presumption. And now with that presumption, the states have a right to have their programs, their policies, their projects, as far as health is concerned. The federal government can make legislation as well as the state and the local governments. So how do we coordinate them, particularly when you have different parties and so on, not running the same manifesto? It's difficult, and that was one of the things that called for the National Health Act. So in the National Health Act, it's also an attempt, a big attempt to coordinate with the state governments. So we have the National Council on Health, which was established by the National Health Act. The National Council on Health is a meeting of the Federal Minister of Health with the state commissioners for health. Right. That is what the National Council of Health is all about. And the National Health Act says that whatever decision, whatever has been decided as policy or program by the National Council of Health is binding on both the federal government and the state government. So that's the nearest we've gotten so far in terms of coordination. So coordination is still the major problem. The major problem, the usual things about funding. But for me, I overcame funding by actually being a better manager of resources. So while we are crying for funding, I did a lot in managing whatever little we are provided. But funding remains a big issue till this day, as far as health was concerned. Then, why did we establish the Nigerian Center for Disease Control and Prevention? Disease surveillance is still a big issue, though we are probably one of the best in Africa in terms of disease surveillance. I didn't say that. That's according to the World Health Organization. Okay. Nigeria is probably the best, if not, in terms of disease surveillance. But we still have so much that we can do. There's still a big room for us to occupy. But we're doing not too badly in terms of disease surveillance. But what do we do with disease surveillance? What do we do with the health intelligence? Is it just collecting intelligence for the sake of it? If we collected intelligence, then we should be able to make the relevant organs, the relevant governments to start running with that intelligence. So I think we still need to do a lot better between collecting this health intelligence and getting the different governments to act on them. So for me, these were some of the key challenges, But of course, when it comes to curative health, therapeutic medicine, the biggest challenge is with the health resources, human resources for health. More and more people are leaving the country, as you can see. It didn't start today, but it's getting worse.
Wow.
So the Jackpot syndrome is getting worse. And the population is increasing. So the ratio, doctor population ratio, nurse population ratio, pharmacist population ratio, just name it, laboratory scientist population ratio, it's even getting worse now. So those are big challenges for Nigeria.
Prof, I can't help emphasize how modest you are, because by the time you left office as the Minister of Health, Nigeria's maternal mortality ratio had decreased from 545 per 100,000 to 350 per 100,000. Under 5-child mortality, under 5-child mortality had fallen from 157 per 1,000 to 94 per 1,000. As a matter of fact, life expectancy at birth had increased from 47 years to 54 years. This is all statistics from the World Health Organization as of 2013. Has that changed? Are we better off right now, or have we fallen backwards?
Well, going by recent data, particularly from the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, as well as the WHO, and as well as from the National Health and Demographic Survey, which is carried out every 5 years. I think the last one indicated that we've gone back a little bit here. And it's not surprising because poverty is deepening in Nigeria. Right. As you know, poverty definitely impacts on health. So if poverty is getting worse, if there are more people who are poorer now, obviously we expect that health indices will also fall. So unfortunately, those social factors are affecting health. It's not as if the current ministers are not doing their best, but there are things that are beyond them. They cannot on their own alone solve the issue of the economy. Other sectors have to be part of revamping the economy. So those social determinants of health are actually dealing with Nigeria. So the reason why people die, as you can imagine, poverty is a major contributor. Poverty makes it difficult for you to have good education. Poverty makes it easy for you to get infections and get disease and become sick. Poverty will prevent you from getting good health care. Poverty will make even your thinking to be very poor. And so that is where we are in Nigeria today. The economy is really bad. People are very poor in this country, and it's a big challenge for everyone.
You mentioned the Japa syndrome. So how can the ministers of health or the Minister of Health tap into this health practitioners who are jackbarring? I think that's the term you guys use in Nigeria. I know. How can they tap into those people leaving the country? My organization, the New Nigerian, is trying to help to bridge the gap between diaspora and Nigeria, trying to get that resource to repatriate, see if they can do things in Nigeria. But give us a viable solution. How can we grab them back?
Well, what can be done actually has to do with the economy. A lot of Nigerians want to come back. Home is always the best. They rather have some practice to help their own people. People still have their first cousins, second cousins, third cousins, first cousins, in different degrees, and people still have their relatives here in Nigeria. And I know that my colleagues who have been in the UK or in the US, for instance, who contact me to help their relatives, which they too were around to offer skilled services to their people. So the easiest way to say is the economy must improve. If the economy improves, for instance, during Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, because things were a little easier at that time, so many Nigerian doctors came back. Not some of them, not fully, but they all established either in Abuja, in Port Harcourt, Lagos, and they were taking time to come. I know people in Lagos who were now having doctors who were working in UK regularly treat them. These guys took turns to come in every week. They'll come stay a week, and that way they eventually for 52 weeks in a year, they were in Lagos doing surgery, taking care of people. So it's the economy. It's the economy. If the economy is improved, you don't need to preach to people. People will come. So much of the...
Do you think telemedicine will work? Do you think using the internet as we are now, will it work? It could help to support, couldn't it?
Of course, it could help to support, but you see me struggling with my internet even now.
Yes.
That's how we're going to do telemedicine.
Yes.
So the infrastructure has to be there.
Yes.
ICT infrastructure must be good to do telemedicine.
Yes.
You can imagine someone trying to operate and the thing is freezing the way it's freezing now. How would the person work? Power, electricity is still a big issue in Nigeria. If you must know, to be able to connect to you, I have to switch on a small gen. There's no public supply where I am. And unfortunately, because I'm outside Abuja, I don't have the benefit of solar if you in Abuja. Would have enjoyed solar because I put solar in my house in Abuja, but not here.
I see.
So, these are issues.
Good evening.
So even what can the minister is, you cannot bring people by appealing to them. Those you can appeal to are people who have already taken care of their economic challenges. So if those ones, they train their children abroad, they are fairly stable, they can, so many of them are volunteering to come and offer service at, just pay me the flight ticket, give me accommodation, feed me. I just want to help my fellow Nigerians. Many have been there, but is that the model we want? No. We want a model that is quite sustainable, that is more predictable, and that will not be too much of a problem for people who want to come back. So there are so many things that have been suggested, but they all hard. Even when it wasn't so bad in my time, we went for a Commonwealth Ministers of Health meeting, and I led other African Commonwealth countries to ask that what we can do is when you are giving contracts to Nigerian or African doctors who were not trained by your own institutions, they were not trained with your money. These were people who were trained with their country's hard-earned income and all that, revenue and so on. Why can't you put in the contract where maybe every 3 years, you allow them for 1 year to go to their country, while you pay them a part of their salary, even if it's 50%, allow them to go to their country and work and help, the knowledge and skills they've now gathered. They refuse. No country wants to, change itself.
But that
so Britain itself were just saying no.
That is a solution. And the powers that be, maybe the Minister of Health or even the President of Nigeria himself, when he goes for bilateral talks, can probably bring that up, because that is a very good solution there already. So let's hope that they actually have a look at that. Prof.
I just hope when they do their bilateral discussions, they can take those things up. Yeah.
Exactly. Prof, as a professor of orthopedic surgery, how do you balance clinical practice, teaching, and research? And what advice would you give to young doctors aspiring to academic medicine?
Well, we are finding it difficult now encouraging young people to come into academic medicine, mainly because of the economy. But a few, we're still training and mentoring a few, and we're working with them. It's an interesting combination, you practice and you also try to advance the frontiers of what you are practicing by way of research. It's interesting in it says that you are not just treating patients, but you're also producing manpower for the country. So I'm also a teacher. We produce fresh doctors. We are lecturers in the university. So apart from research, we do teach. So the major thing is, in a country like Nigeria, there must be ways you can have other streams of income to support, because what is being paid in the public sector is so little now. It's so discouraging. You won't even have the mindset to go and do research if you rely on that alone. So one is for the government to improve the pay in the public sector. Two is for an improved economy so that in the private sector can grow even better. Actually, a lot of advances have been done through the private health sector, I can tell you. Many procedures that are now being done in Nigeria are actually being done in the private sector, in the health, private health sector, I can tell you. So my advice to the young ones is, one, go to an area where you have the best talent, the best interest, the greatest enthusiasm. Because like I tell people, if you are working and it really looks like work, then time to look at other things. When I'm in theater operating, I don't even realize the time is past because I enjoy orthopedics. So how to know that you've gone to the right specialty is if you are looking at it as just hobby, as part of your normal extracurricular activity. That is the only way to enjoy it. But it's very important that your income is assured. If your income is not assured, sooner than later you are going to abandon it.
Wow.
So that's my advice.
Prof,
Very true.
Prof, you mentioned people coming to try and help Nigerians. We're concentrating on the health profession now. I know, for example, a doctor of regenerative medicine who was on a TNN, the New Nigerian podcast, based in the US, but is thriving right now in Nigeria. He has opened a big clinic in Lagos for regenerative medicine, doing surgeries for people who have strokes, for children who have Down syndrome, trying to improve their health. So I'm just buttressing your point of people, doctors outside the country coming back to set up. But then again, like you said, their financing has to be assured, otherwise they will pack it up. Let me switch to...
Yeah, their financing has to be assured, yeah.
Let me switch
Very true.
to USOSA. As an alumnus of the Federal Government College Sokoto and a member of the Unity School All Students Association, how did your formative years in the Unity School system shape your leadership style and your career trajectory?
Yeah, I've always been of the opinion that the most critical level of education is the secondary school. Even for people who didn't have the opportunity or decided not to go further after secondary school, if they had a sound secondary school education, you could see they do well. They are very solid. I believe it is the most critical level of education, the secondary school. I was fortunate to go to Federal Government College at the time I did. I was very fortunate. We had beautiful, wonderful teachers. The school was very compact. No class was ever more than 32. In fact, some classes were even 25, 28. So the teachers had time for us. You can imagine the principal knew virtually every student by name. Not like today where you probably have about 10,000 students in one school. How is the principal going to know their names? At that time, the school population was between 600, never more than 800. The whole school population, and mind you, we had 7 classes from 1 to 5, lower 6th form and upper 6th form, 7 classes. And we were hardly any time more than 700 or 800 in the whole school. The principal knew everyone by name. The classes were small and manageable. The teachers were very dedicated, very good. The economy was strong and bounding. We had teachers from all over the world. We had so many of them from UK, as you can imagine. We had from France. We had from United States of America. We had from Australia. We had Pakistani teachers. We had Indian teachers. We had Bangladeshi teachers. We had Egyptian teachers. And of course, we had Nigerian teachers. And even from some other African countries. So we're exposed to, multicultural setting. And so our leadership started taking place from there. They gave us avenue for leadership training. Even if you may not end up as a prefect, by the time you're in Form 4, the equivalent of SS1 now, you start having responsibility as a room head. You headed a room of younger junior students. You provided leadership and mentoring to them. You were being trained. We were allowed to play politics. We had the Student Representative Council. Even though I lost, I contested for the Assistant Secretary General. We made posters. We were allowed to campaign. You canvass for votes. It was a training ground.
Right.
I was a member of the Business Society. As a member of the Business Society, eventually rose to being the vice chairman of the board eventually. We were learning business skills, practical business skills, how to make profit. We knew what selling shares were. People subscribed with shares and we grew their money and gave them dividends. We were being trained. We didn't know it.
Wow.
But we were being trained for the future. So we were encouraged to join as many clubs as possible. I was a member of the press club. I know what it is when as a journalist, the powers that be decide to deal with you. I suffered it. I was once when we had to do a critique of prefects who say, do as I say, but not as I do. Okay? We are supposed to have exit, and if we must go outside the school, we must be in our on the school uniform. And the same prefects will go without exit, and they will not be in their school uniform. And so we did a research and published it. And 2 a.m. on one of these days, 2 a.m. we were whisked from our rooms. So we know those things were to prepare you for the future. We know what it was.
Right.
When people talk about press reform, the dangers and the risks of being a journalist, we experienced it live, even as students.
Yeah.
And then we were encouraged to be sportsful. Whether you are in the school team or not, there's a marathon for everybody. Everybody must contest. There are some, track events. Everybody must contest. It's not I'm not a good athlete. You must participate in sports. Compulsorily. We all been trained there. And then at that time, they allowed us to have parties, but under control situation. But we were allowed, and it was a mixed school. So you learn social skills even while we were there, under control. We had girlfriends, so we didn't go to their rooms and all that. But once a year, these people have psychology or not. Once a year, they made us to enter the girls' dormitory. So if you are wondering what was there that day, girls' day, you could go there and spend 6 hours with your girlfriend and come out in the daylight. And this were fun. We were being trained. We were reading news. You gather news were provided. And the first time I was in front of students, I was checking I was so nervous. But gradually, I learned how to steady myself. And today I can address anywhere.
Absolutely.
I know that one day I will represent the president of Nigeria at the United Nations and speak on behalf of President Goodluck Jonathan.
Wow.
Those kids started from that secondary school.
Yes.
When we could appear before the principal and all teachers and all the students, and the first time you were nervous, but gradually you overcame it and developed that confidence. We were trained. So a lot of the things that I am today, integrity, all those things were imparted by Sokoto.
Good evening. Thank you, Prof. Thank you so much. As a proud member of the Unity Schools All Students Association, what role do you think Unity School alumni should play in shaping Nigeria's future, particularly in the health and educational sector?
I would say the first thing is, can we say to ourselves, what did we learn in Unity Schools? I tell people of my generation, because when I wouldn't say let's go more into politics, because when I look at even today, the top politicians, many of them actually went to Unity Schools. Many who Socians have had a fair share of governance in Nigeria.
Right.
But I'm beginning to wonder whether all of us, have all of us tried to show why we went to Unity School? I'm so doubtful about it. Some of the people doing certain things, if you go and investigate, they actually went to Unity Schools. And it will shock you that what they are doing today in the name of governance is not what they were taught in those Unity Schools. So the first thing is to appeal to my fellow Socians. Can we insist on doing what we learned at school? Can we reflect where we came from? We had privileged education at the country's, cost. We were privileged to have gone to those, particularly at the time we went. Can we repay this country called Nigeria with what we learned, both in terms of character, in terms of knowledge, in terms of skills, and in terms of talents? Can we repay? Nigeria and lead this country. Definitely, there's room for us to be part of what is going on in this country. Many people too, while I'm saying that many of us have not made short of the situation, but I also know many of us who have done very well, exceedingly well in our positions, and have shown why we went to unity schools.
It's true.
We have done that. So in the health sector,
right.
there are many of us, who have done so well. And when you ask, where did you go? You mention one unity school or the other, both men and women. I'm being honest. But an almost equal number of us too have not measured up to par. So we also need to encourage ourselves so that we can boast of 80 to 90% minimum. So yes, many of us have read medicine. Many of us are contributing to this country. But through our SOSA, as a group platform, I think there are things we can do. We can try and mentor younger ones who we want to push into the market. We can try and put position papers and submit to government. And then more importantly, identify those people who are also satisfied in government and see them discreetly and see whether they can help push some of these ideas. So there's a lot that we can do is possible.
This is value. This is the essence of the Pro-Unitate.
There's a lot we can do.
The value you've just given us, the solutions you are preparing, we will take all of those into consideration. Prof, you graduated with the best WASC result in your class at Federal Government College Sokoto. I know you've talked a bit about it, but what habits or influences during that period contributed most to your academic excellence?
Well, I will say that while I was not a triangular student, you can see the number of clubs. If someone belongs to a dance club, you can say it's not a serious student.
Okay.
Because what do we do in dance club?
Yes.
They teach us the latest dance styles.
Yes.
And then we will dance with ourselves, practicing. Once in a while, we come and showcase to the rest of the school those dance styles. So in a way, you say, these are not serious students. So I was into those they consider serious clubs and society, but I also was into this more, relaxed, more
fun
kind of society. So activity. So I took part in everything, but I was serious with my education. I knew why I went there. That's why I from beginning I was a federal government scholar. So I had to spare my parents' school fees because after Form 1, and it was gazetted. Recently, I saw a copy of that gazette and I laughed. So, Nigeria used to gazette all those things. So my name was fully gazetted among those who were offered the federal government of Nigeria scholarship to complete their secondary school. So the only time my parents paid my school fees was only for Form 1. Wow. Form 2, Form 3, Form 4, and Form 5, my parents did not pay school fees because I was a federal government scholar, having done well in Form 1. So the major thing is that I did things at the right time. When it is time to go and read, I was a very serious student. I didn't play with my prep time. And when we are now doing our extension, preparatory to doing WASC, second term, we're not allowed to go on holidays around that Easter period. So we stayed back along with those synopsis. It was the school policy then. We stayed back so that we'll be getting extra lessons and prepare our minds for the WASC exams. So I was serious-minded, but I was also good enough to look at other aspects of life. When we were in Form 4, I was among those who organized our biggest party, our EBO, to celebrate Form 4. We organized that. So for me to be organizing parties means also we're a bit balanced. Yes, and I had girlfriends. I won't lie. Sometimes, once in a while, we broke school rule because you can't be 100% pure. So once in a while, we escape to go to Sokoto cinema or Northern cinema to watch either the Chinese movies or the Indian movies. Those were the popular movies in Sokoto at that time. We used to also break school rule a bit. So we are not all too studious at all, but I took every aspect of school life seriously. That's the truth.
In essence,
I participated in
you were balanced in essence, so you had
well,
a bit of everything.
I went through school and the school went through me. I can say that confidently.
Excellent.
I was balanced.
Excellent. Prof, as someone with a highly demanding career in medicine and public service, how have you managed to balance family life with your professional responsibilities? And what role has your wife played in that journey? Good evening.
I'll start with the last one. I attribute a lot to the kind of wife I married. To be honest, if you for anybody, whether man or woman, to get to what should naturally be your potential and capacity, you need a stable home. That's the truth.
Right.
You need a stable home. You cannot overstress the contribution of a stable home. So because I was lucky, because these things are not by your power. When you are going to marry, you never really know completely much about the man you are marrying. You know a little bit. You don't even know much about the woman you are marrying. So there's a bit of God's grace, so you just thank God that you got a good one, So I have a good wife, and she provides that stability at home that you need to do well. Because without it, if your mind is not rested, you will not be thinking correctly. So I give that credit. The second factor is that right from beginning, I realized that ultimately, the only thing you can lay claim to is your family.
Yeah.
In this world, ultimately, that's the only thing you can lay claim to. With all your bags of achievement, whatever, towards the end, the only thing you can really talk of is your family.
Good evening.
So because of that, I deliberately created that opportunity to always spare time for my family, for my children, bond with them, for my wife, find time when we can celebrate together and even have vacations together and all that, from the usual environment and so on. So it's for you to create the time. If you don't create the time, the work can take the place of everything. So it has to be a deliberate plan. You must create the time. You must. It's not something you leave to chance. If you leave it to chance, I can tell you, I love my work as an orthopedic surgeon. It's so easy to get carried away.
Yeah.
But if you decide to make a deliberate thing to create the time, then you know when to say, enough for this. Let me go and sort out the family issues. So I don't play with my family. That's the truth.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that. Prof, you are not only a surgeon, you are also an avid golfer. And you were the past captain of Abakaliki Golf Club. On a lighter note, what does golf and your involvement with clubs like the IBB Golf and Country Club mean to you in terms of relaxation, networking, and personal discipline?
Golf is an interesting game that I recommend to everyone. You see, why is it an interesting game? The first one is that it is a life game. It is a life game. If I'm playing with you, I don't know whether you're a golfer too, but if I'm going to play with you for the first time, by the time we get to hole 6, whatever I didn't know about your character, I will know. I will know whether you're an extrovert. Okay. I will know whether you're an introvert. Right. I will know whether you are an honest person with integrity. I will know whether you are a crook and a fraudulent character and a thief and a liar. Right. I will know whether you are generally a calm person. I will know whether you are easily rattled, you are easily taken up by stress. So it is a life game. I recommend it. Then secondly, it is the only game you can play until God calls you. So you have golfers at the age of 90, 92, 93, as long as you can move around. And it's a game that is not determined by your opponent, unlike squash or tennis. You are playing against the course. The only thing your playing teams can do to you is to distract you. Outside that, their play does not determine how you play. But if you go to tennis, your opponents many times can determine how you play. If you go to squash, whatever, but not in golf. The other thing is that you can actually play alone. So sometimes, if you are not able to find someone to go and play with, but you are desirous of going to exercise and just have fun, you can actually go on your own and play. And you don't need to play all the 18 holes. Nobody must force you except in a tournament. So you can play 6 holes and call it a day. You can play 9 holes all by yourself and call it a day. Or you can play 18 holes or even 36 holes. So that is a very good game. Then networking, you can't beat it. That is a place where politics is played without bitterness. Deals are sealed without special meetings.
Wow.
And contacts are made without having to be going to make appointments at a relaxed atmosphere. You can't beat it. You meet people you never would have been able to meet on the golf course. And everybody is equal. You're just a player like the person. And you relate well with you.
As a young lad, I did take up golf. In fact, my best friend as a child was a golfer. Unfortunately for me, at that time, I wasn't too familiar with the rules. I did not realize that the person who gets to whack their ball forward has to be the one with the ball further behind. My ball went...
It's a gentleman's game.
Yeah, but my ball went ahead, and I went straight to my ball. My friend took a whack of his ball, and he hit me on the head. And that I gave up golf immediately. You know, I had a very bad,
since you survived.
Yeah, I did. I think I should take it back up again.
That is a dangerous business. Come back. It's not late. Since you survived it, come back, and since you know the rules better now,
yes,
you do well.
Absolutely.
Sorry about that.
Absolutely. Prof, let me just
come back on the come.
Let me just quickly make our audience aware that on October 11, 2022, the late President of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, invested the National Honors of Officer of the Order of the Niger on you. Also, on December 22nd, 2022, Governor David Umahi inducted Professor Chukwu as Commander Ebonyi State Hall of Fame. Now, it seems you are from Ebonyi State. It looks like Governor at that time, Governor Umahi, did a lot of work within Ebonyi State. Can you speak to that? What was his tenure like, and what impact did he make? Good evening.
Well, I think maybe that's why the president made him the Minister of Works. Much of the impact he created in Ebonyi State was mainly with physical infrastructure. He did well with physical infrastructure, roads. He was able to either reconstruct a number of roads or even construct a number of new roads. He was also able to do a number of overheads, bridges, particularly at intersections that used to be very problematic in those days. So now traffic is freer now, and there are less likelihood of accidents at those intersections. Wow. And then, of course, there were other things he did, buildings, airport, and so on and so forth. So in terms of physical infrastructure, he's a civil engineer. Okay. He's being scored highly, and I also score him quite highly. For me, those were his major areas of achievement. Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. Finally, Prof, I promise not to take too much of your time. What would you like to see the Alumni Association USOSA achieve? I know some of us are in politics already. There are some aspiring to go into politics. What more of an impact would you want USOSANs to make? And how can the young ones that are becoming members of USOSA, how can they benefit?
Well, I think we must find ways of seeing whether the schools can be returned to where they were at their peak. One, in terms of infrastructure. Second, in terms of the quality of teaching, and the quality of learning, and in terms of character molding. So I know that many of the Unity schools have old students or old boys or old girls associations, and many of these, like take for instance Federal Government College Sokoto, we celebrated 60 years of existence earlier this year, and different classes of the OSU Association actually brought legacy projects on the table. So these are ways of giving back and making the schools to come back. So I think USOSA should continue along those lines, and if it were possible to even do more. USOSA as a government can influence government to continue to support the schools. Right now, if you talk to the principals, the budgetary allocations are too small. They can't do any much with it. But if we apply pressure, they can help. So the first is that we need to bring these schools back to where they were at their peak. The second thing is that we must continue to influence governance in this country. The third thing is that we must make ourselves visible, whether through the media, through sports carnival, like recently it was held in Enugu. Make noise, let people know what it's all about. Organize public lectures, let people know and showcase why we think everybody should emulate what we learned or what we went through in becoming what we are today in those Unity schools. So I think we should contribute to our schools, we should contribute to governance, and we should contribute generally to making the society better. So
I am really I'm grateful for your time, Prof. 1 hour almost has come. I promise not to keep you too long. So to the audience, you've gained value from listening to this podcast. You will gain value by sharing it, liking it, and also subscribing to the Pro-Unitate YouTube channel, the new Nigerian YouTube channel. Share this with your friends. Invite people to listen. Invite people to subscribe. Prof, it's been a pleasure having you on the platform, and hopefully we should have a part 2, maybe sometime within the next year. I will have you know that this podcast is on episode 28 now. So since we started, we've done 28 episodes with very prominent USOSANs and not so prominent USOSANs. The start of the podcast gave us the history of Unity schools, straight back to the time of Tafawa Balewa, up to the time of General Gowon, who saw what was laid down by, I think it was Okotiebo. We had an oracle on who told us all of this. I encourage you to visit the YouTube channels and listen. In fact, your brother, who is the president of the Old Students Association of Sokoto, has been on the platform. He is also prominently featured on the TNN website. I will send all those links to you so you can have a look. I'm grateful for your time. Thank you for burning petrol or diesel to share your experiences and your knowledge with the Pro-Unitate audience.
It's not mine, David. And Pro-Unitate, I thank you for what you are doing. You're already answering some of the questions you asked by this podcast show. So well done, and continue to wax even stronger. Well done.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We will let you go now. Have a good evening, sir.
Thank you very much.
Bye for now.
Thank you so much. Enjoy your own.
Okay, sir.